Hi there, and welcome to this brand new tutorial series. I'm Akil, and today we're diving into Unreal Engine 5 to create a wall building system for a mobile game, just like the ones you've seen in popular base building games like Clash of Clans. The best part, we're building this entire system using Unreal Engine's blueprints, no coding required. Whether you're a beginner looking to learn the basics of blueprints or an experienced developer searching for efficient ways to implement this feature, this series has got you covered. So if you're ready to level up your game development skills, hit that subscribe button and let's get started. Since we're making a game on Android, there's one important step we need to take care of first. We need to set up the Android SDK in Unreal Engine. This will allow us to test every feature we add directly on an Android device. To set up the Android SDK, you'll need to follow the instructions on this page. I'll leave the link in the description below. It's a straightforward process, but if you run into any issues or the setup doesn't work for some reason, don't worry. I've also linked another video that solved the problem for me when I was setting it up. Once the setup is complete, I highly recommend testing it by packaging the top-down template in Unreal Engine and running it on your Android phone. This will ensure everything is working correctly before we dive into building our wall building system. Alright, once you've got the Android SDK set up and tested, let's start making the wall building system. We should start by building a HUD for our game. Specifically, we'll create a widget blueprint that acts as a build menu, complete with buttons for placing walls on the map. Let's dive right in. Click in the content browser, go to user interface and select widget blueprint. Let's name this WBP build. This will act as our HUD and contain all the buttons we need for building walls. Now open WBP build. The first thing we'll do is add a canvas panel to the grid. The canvas panel allows us to visualize the boundaries of the screen and position our UI element. Drag it from the palette onto the grid. Next, let's add a button. Drag a button from the palette and place it near one of the corners of the canvas panel. Rename this button to build button. To ensure the button stays in place when the screen size changes, select the button and choose the appropriate anchor in the details panel. For now, let's anchor it to the bottom left corner. Now, let's customize the button's appearance. Add a text block to the button by dragging it from the palette onto the build button. Change the text content to build and center it within the button. You can adjust the font size and style in the details panel to make it look clean and professional. With the button looking good, it's time to make it functional. Go back to the build button in the hierarchy, scroll down in the details panel and find the events section. Click the plus sign next to on clicked. This creates an event in the widget blueprint that will trigger whenever the button is pressed during gameplay. Before we start working on the event, we need a reference to the player character. This is the pawn or character that spawns in the game and is controlled by the player. To get this reference, right-click in the graph, search for Get Player Pawn and select the corresponding node. This node returns the current player pawn or character. Now we need to cast this pawn to our specific player character blueprint. In this case, let's assume our player character is named BP Top Down Character. drag the output pin from the Get Player Pawn node, search for cast to VP top-down character and connect it. This ensures we're working with the correct character blueprint. Finally, take the output pin from the cast to BP top-down character node and promote it to a variable. Let's name this variable player character reference. This variable will store the reference to our player character, which we use later to handle the building logic. Remember to make sure instance editable and expose on spawn are checked in the details panel. This ensures the variable can be assigned when the widget is created. Now, let's open the top-down character blueprint. You can find it in the content browser under Content Top-Down Blueprints. Open the blueprint and go to the event graph. In the event graph, right-click and search for the event Begin Play node. This event is triggered at the start of the game, making it the perfect place to create and display our widget. Next, right-click and search for Create Widget. In the class dropdown, select Double UBP Build. This will create an instance of our build menu widget. Now we need to pass a reference to the player character. Drag off the player character reference pin on the Create Widget node and search for self. Connect the self node to the player character reference pin. This ensures the widget knows which character it belongs to. Take the return value from the Create Widget node and promote it to a variable. Let's name this variable Build Model Widget. This variable will store a reference to our widget so we can interact with it later. Now, let's display the widget on the screen. Drag the Build Model Widget variable into the graph, pull from its output pin, and search for Add to Viewport. Connect this node to the Create Widget node. This will place the widget in the player's viewport and make it visible. With everything set up, let's test the game. Click play and see if the build menu appears on the screen. If everything is working correctly, you should see the build button in the bottom left corner.